I will not tell you about the cranial nerves. I'll just tell you about the areas. Okay, so what we have here is this part is the anterior cranial fossa. This is the middle cranial fossa, and this is the posterior cranial fossa. Anterior cranial fossa, there is frontal lobe. Middle cranial fossa, temporal lobe. Posterior cranial fossa content is cerebellum. Okay, their cerebellum rests. Now you see this perforated plates, that small holes. These small holes are cribriform plate. Cranial nerve number 1 goes through them. That is olfactory nerve, which is responsible for sense of smell. Okay, anything wrong with that particular nerve, patient will not be able to smell. The disorder is called anosmia. There is a fissure here, a big hole, which you can see anteriorly through the eye, here and here. So there is something which is, the hole is superior, and there is some hole which is down below. So this is superior, right? So it is superior orbital fissure. What is it? Superior orbital fissure. And then by the side of superior orbital fissure there is a hole here. Okay, this is optic canal. Okay, because there is a circular canal here, optic canal. Now there is, below down, there is one more hole here, foramen rotundum. Okay, you can see that, foramen rotundum, and then there is foramen ovale. Okay, there are contents which are going to pass through it. I'll tell you in a minute. And then there is something called as foramen lacerum. Okay, and then there is a carotid foramen. Foramen lacerum you see in the medial aspect, because there are two, it has become one, there are two. Okay, foramen lacerum, it is blocked by an cartilage, plugged by an cartilage. Normally it is not open in a normal human being. And then you have foramen spinosum. Okay, and then here this is called petrous part of this one, petrous wing. Okay, greater suprachiasmatic wing. This is internal auditory meatus. Okay, and then you have jugular foramen. Okay, and then you have foramen magnum. Okay, so these are the holes which are supposed to see. So now coming to the important part, cranial number 1, optic canal cranial number 2. Okay, cranial number 3, 4, 5, V1 and 6. Cranial number 5, V2, cranial number 5, V3. Okay, that is, V1 is the optic branch, maxillary and mandibular. Then coming to the carotid, through which your internal carotid artery will come. Okay, internal carotid artery, which divides into anterior cerebral and middle cerebral artery. Then coming to your this internal auditory meatus, it doesn't have a direct connection with the external auditory meatus, which is the ear, the drum. It has a connection with stylomastoid foramen, through which the facial nerves comes out. When you see, if you insert a flexible needle or flexible wire through this, it's an S-shaped canal. Okay, so the course of the facial nerve is S-shaped. So cranial nerve number 7 and cranial nerve number 8, vestibulocochlear, goes through it. Then cranial nerve number 9, 10 and 11 goes through the jugular foramen, and the cranial nerve number 12 also comes out from here. That is foramen magnum. Okay, so this ends your cranial nerves and their function. Okay, so function I can tell you without telling the structures which it passes through it. Like optic nerve has vision, then you have trochlear, trigeminal, then abducent, which is responsible for Yeah, function.
Name of function disorder.
Function or
Function.
Okay,
Dysfunction.
okay.
But this one, Doctor Saadi.
Why it is difficult? I just told you in the video.
Yes, but the name, the thing.
You will not remember. Okay, anyway. 1 is smell, olfact.
Yes.
2 is vision, okay? Visual defect and visual acquired. 3, 4, 5, and 6 is eyeball movements. 5 is movement of the jaw, okay, and sensation of the face, okay. 7 is facial features. 8 is is very close. 8 is your hearing and balance, okay, vestibular cochlea. 9 is glossopharyngeal for your larynx, voice production. 10 is vagus. It is parasympathetic. So all parasympathetic functions are in your body, like you rest, you digest, all parasympathetic relaxation are its function. 11 accessory, that you do this movement, that it supplies to pages as well as sternocleidomastoid. If these two muscles act together, it causes flexion of the neck. And 12 is glossopharyngeal for the movement of the tongue. Okay. Spinal nerves. So C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8. So T1 will start from here. Okay. And now you see this red colored thing. The red color is vertebral artery. Okay. Vertebral artery. And then you see this yellow colored structure, okay, which is dark, bright yellow. It's a spinal nerve. Okay. Now then you have the chain of ganglions which are connecting with this. That is these bulges. This is sympathetic chain. Okay. And then when the spinal cord ends here, okay, this is called conus medullaris, okay, and then you have a tail-shaped fibers. It is called cauda equina. Then you have last point of the spinal cord, that is called filum terminale. Okay. Then there is a transverse process, spinous process. This is lamina, okay, and there will be pedicle. And there is superior articular facet and inferior articular facet. Now there is a dura mater, there is arachnoid mater, and the pia mater, which is very, very close to the spinal cord. I think that is it. Listen now. Cervical vertebrae, thoracic vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae, and
sacral and coccygeal.
cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 5, coccygeal 4. So total is 33. Okay. Cervical nerves, 8 cervical nerves, 12 thoracic nerve, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 1 coccygeal, 31 spinal nerves. Okay. Now you have on the either sides red colored thing. Okay. This is called as artery. This is an artery, okay, which goes through the foramen, okay, transverse foramen through the cervical. How many cervical? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th one does not have. The 6 cervical vertebrae will have this foramen, transverse foramen, which contains vertebral artery. The vertebral artery ascends up, combines to form the basilar artery, and then divides again into posterior cerebral artery. Okay? Posterior cerebral artery. The cervical has each vertebra has a feature, common features. There is a body for each vertebra, every vertebra. There is a spinous process for each vertebra. There is a transverse process for each vertebra. But the orientation of the transverse process in the cervical is different from the lumbar. Okay, and the sacral is completely different, and coccygeal, they are completely fused. Okay, there is no body as such, there is no discrimination of the transverse process or the spinous process. Okay, as you see, as the weight grows more and more, because the vertebrae has to take more weight, okay, what they become, the lumbar vertebrae, lumbar vertebrae, they become stronger and stouter. The surface area, they become bigger. Okay. Now posteriorly, there is spinous process. Okay. And on the lateral aspect, you have transverse process. These are the yellow things are the spinal nerves. Okay. And then between the transverse process and spinous process, there is a lamina. Okay, there is a lamina. And between the transverse process and the body of the vertebra, there is pedicle. Okay, so the pedicle, transverse process, lamina, spinous process, lamina, transverse process, pedicle forms the neural arch. Okay, it's called neural arch. Why it is called neural arch? Because in some birth defects, what happens? This neural arch is absent and spinal cord is exposed to the external environment. Okay, called spina bifida. There are many varieties of that. Okay, did you understand? On the either sides, you have pelvic bones. Okay, and you have sacroiliac joint, because this is iliac bone and this is a sacrum. So the sacroiliac joint, which is fused. Before it was thought that there is no movement of the sacroiliac joint. Now it is thought that there is a 3 degrees of movement of the sacroiliac joint. Okay. Now you see, look at the sacral. Okay. You have segments, 5 segments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and coccygeal you can find 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 4 segments which are fused, which you cannot identify individually. It's not possible for you to identify each one of them. Okay, so that is about this. And now each vertebra, in between each vertebra, the first cervical vertebra, it's called atlas. The second one is called axis. Okay, why it is called atlas? Because it holds the globe, that means the head on top of it. Okay, now between each vertebra there is a cartilaginous or a cushion shaped structure, okay, which is oval cushion shaped structure, which is called intervertebral disc. It is formed peripherally by annulus fibrosus, and in the center there is nucleus pulposus. Annulus fibrosus is tough. Nucleus pulposus gives a cushiony structure, because it contains more of watery content. The proportionate of nucleus pulposus is this one. Sometimes what happens, the amount of stress put on these intervertebral discs is considerably high. The annulus fibrosus breaks down, and then there is the contents of nucleus pulposus comes out, which causes the compression of the nerve, or which results in sciatica, which results in nerve compression, which results in disability, muscular weaknesses, and other things. Understood? Thank you. And lateral rectus is supplied by your abducens. All the other 4 muscles are being supplied by your trochlear. Now there is a difference. The superior oblique has a notch. The tendon, the direction of the muscle changes as it goes through one hook, okay, one pulley. So whenever the muscle contracts, there is no upward deviation, upward rotation of the eyeball. This is a downward rotation of the eyeball, just because the direction of the muscle changes. So same way, whenever inferior oblique contracts, there is upward rotation of the eyeball, not the downward rotation of the eyeball. Understand? So you must remember one formula, LR6SO4. LR means lateral rectus cranial number 6, superior oblique cranial number 4, and all the other muscles are supplied by cranial number 3. Okay? Understand? And if there is a problem with any of these muscles, or with the group of muscles, there is a disorder which is called squint. Okay? And functionally there will be a problem with that particular patient. He will have diplopia. That means he is going to see 2 objects. One is the primary object, another is a reflection of that particular object. Okay? That is called diplopia. Whenever there is no conjugate movement of the 2 eyeballs together. When the 2 eyeballs are not going to move together. If one eyeball is going to move too much range of motion, and another eyeball will stay at that same place, the person will see two people. Okay, one is the primary and another is shadow of that particular person. That is called diplopia. Okay. Then you have in the eye you have cornea, you have iris, and you have pupil. Okay, inside the pupil, the first thing which we'll encounter is the lens. Okay, which is attached with the muscles, which stretches the lens for far vision and relaxes for a near vision. Understand? And then behind there is the retina, which the image will follow the retina, which is being carried out by the optic nerve. This is the optic nerve. You understand? It's very simple.
Just this one.
Eye and vertebrates very, very